Hello and welcome to this introductory video of the Institute for Thomas Paine Studies at Iona College, in which I, Dr. Michael Crowder, public historian of the ITPS, introduce Gary Berton, ITPS coordinator and president of the Thomas Paine National Historical Association. Gary, for the last 10 years, has been the spearhead as the methodological developer of text analysis project, a project that is designed as a multidisciplinary project in order to help attribute documents whose authorship is either unknown or disputed. And now I'd like to introduce Gary, who is going to just for a couple of minutes, some aspects of text attribution and the development of this project. So Gary, please go right ahead.
Thanks, Michael. Text attribution actually has a pretty long history. It goes back to the 19th century, but it was only done as word counting. In other words, they would see how many times a particular word occurs in a long text, which was very inaccurate and didn't produce any meaningful results. That changed with the advent of computers. The team of Mosteller and Wallace started working with features of writing that they could test for in documents to see if there's some similarities to identify authors. And they worked on the Federalist Papers back in the 1960s. That work that they did is actually still being used by most historians, and their results were rudimentary and really only 50% accurate. Since then, a lot of people around the world have been working on text attribution in many languages, and we tapped into that. There's open source material available to us, and Dr. Smiljana Petrovic at Iona in the computer science department combined the features that are in existence all into one package, as well as different methods of sorting out the data in different programs. So we put this all together in a package and we started testing. The tests were amazingly accurate after we got out the kinks. And when we started testing on known documents, in other words, we know who the author is, but we want to see if the software worked, we were able to get up to over 90% accuracy on our recall and precision, which is an enormous jump in accuracy. Previously, most text attribution scientists were getting in the 60s normally as success rate. What Dr. Petrovic did was combine all the features. Previously, people have been only using one or two features at a time. We use all 17 features, which you can see in the videos that are attached here in detail. So we were able to achieve an enormous amount of accuracy. There are two packages, one to create package files of authors, which requires creating author files for each of them so we can test against their styles with unknown documents. And there's a package for doing the actual testing. So we regard this as an enormous step forward in the humanities, especially in research, especially amongst historians. There are so many documents that haven't been tested to see who the real author was. Federalist Papers is a good example. We've been working on that, and we're finding much different results than Mosteller and Wallace did back in the 60s. It was much more accurate down to the paragraph of who wrote what. And we're finding that collaboration seems to be the norm. Very, very few documents in the 18th, 19th centuries that were political were written by one person. It was generally written by several. So with that introduction, let's see if Michael has any questions.
don't have any questions. Gary, thank you very much for briefly describing the text analysis project and for describing the contributions, in particular, of Dr. Smiljana Petrovic. Could you talk, please, Gary, a little bit more about how the text analysis project emerged in collaboration with the computer science department and the ITPS at Iona College?
Okay. Well, I arrived at Iona College in 2011, and my first stop was to the computer science department with Bob Schiaffino as the chairman. And he brought in Dr. Petrovic, Dr. Ivanov, Scott Cleary from the English department, people from the history department, and we all sat around and tried to figure out if we can make use of this text attribution knowledge that's out there with something that we can use ourselves for identifying unknown historical authors of historical documents. Out of that developed a small committee. Dr. Petrovic, myself, were the leaders of putting this together, and Dr. Petrovic came up with the idea of, instead of using one or two features or writing style characteristics at a time, to use all of them that we know of, and that was 17 of them. And that changed the game completely. Accuracy immediately went way up. We started on known authors document. We would test that to see how accurate the software was. And one method that we used right away was that we can do a leave one out methodology, which means if we take a handful of authors, each with us several documents that we know are theirs, and we take one of those out and test it against the rest of them to see how accurate our software was. And when we started doing that, we found that several things that we thought were an author turned out to be not from that author, because their recall was very low, 20, 30%. We were looking for 70, 80, 90%, and we got that with the other pieces, but particular pieces didn't work. So that launched us into this whole project. Eventually came up with two easily usable packages that anyone can use. If you go through the videos, I will walk you through and show you how to use each piece. We're offering this free to the world because the source documents we took were also already free. So we couldn't actually keep this to ourselves. So we put this up online right here on this website. You can download the software, and our videos will tell you how to use the software.
Well, thank you, Gary. And I'll just conclude this introductory video to the text analysis project by again noting that what Gary mentioned, that there are 4 instructional videos that he created explain the process of using the software and Gary's methodology, creating author files, generating author packages, testing documents, and analyzing graphs. So these 4 videos, in addition, as Gary mentioned, to the software itself, you can all find at theitps.org. And feel free to reach out to us at the ITPS with any questions that you have. Thank you very much for watching, and please enjoy the instructional videos and